Yes, I hit the button twice.
That happens.
Awesome. But it is that time again. Red Cup Thursdays, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the show. Um, we're gonna give it a couple more seconds to let you guys kind of come in. Make sure that you're grabbing your red cup. Doesn't have to be red, but the point is that there is a cup. We're getting close to Friday, and then you put your preferred version of water in there. I said water, okay? So I'm not influencing in the wrong way. However, I want to go ahead and introduce someone that I've been working with for several years. We are actually located in different areas, but we've actually developed a relationship in the last couple of years as professionals here trying to make it happen. And I'm going to be pointing the right way this week too. Right? I'm
No,
getting it
you
the right
got it.
way.
You got it.
Yeah.
I am.
Miss Eneida Cortes, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
I'm doing awesome. I'm excited to be here and honored to be with you to have a conversation on something that we both love to do. So I'm excited.
Awesome, awesome. Well, thank you very much for dedicating me some time today. Who was it that Jay-Z? You could be anywhere in the world, but you're here with me, and I
Yeah, yeah,
appreciate that.
yeah.
Thank you so much. I don't know how often I quote Jay-Z, but I think he's the one that said that. So let's start the show by giving them a little bit more information about you. So tell me a little bit about you.
Well, I am like Eneida, like you said, and like everyone else. I have a family, amazing family. I have a great husband. I have a sassy 10-year-old, and I have an awesome world traveler son who's going to graduate college this year and go abroad. Live abroad. So that's who I am. I sell real estate, and just like everyone else, I'm one of those that fled from up north in New Jersey years ago and made it here.
Awesome. For those of you that are hanging out with us, do us a quick favor. Drop just a hey, what's up? Kind of let us know where you're at from Miami or from Tampa or Central Florida. Eneida has a lot of friends in Central Florida, and we're inviting them in to come in. So go ahead and drop a comment. We're going to be communicating with you out throughout the show. I will be highlighting the questions that you guys ask. So any questions that you have, please feel free to drop a comment and ask away. So Central Florida. All right.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Let's talk a little bit about that. Right before we started talking about the show, you said some really interesting numbers.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that market. What's going on up in Central Florida?
So everybody loves Miami, right? It depends on where you are in life, right? You want to go to MIA and stuff. But then what ends up happening is everybody goes to Disney right? So they want to go to Disney as well and visit the mouse. Then when you realize is that, Orlando is still developing, the Central Florida area, there's huge development going on. And it's still growing. I think even the industries, we're getting tech industries, we're getting big medical fields out here, new hospitals building, teaching hospitals coming in. So a lot of people taking advantage of that. And developers love that because developers then start developing around. So what was once known to be just a retirement area, it's now popular. We ain't Miami, but we're growing. And then the best thing I have to say, which I'm sorry, prices are a lot less and affordable. So someone thinking of wanting to look for a home, this area is attractive to them. But like everyone everywhere else, we are still getting hit with inventory. We have no inventory. And then we have a lot of buyers, right? And people want to buy, especially with the interest rates being so low. But, just like you and I were talking before, just to throw out some numbers out there is 1,703 homes sold in the Orange County area, which is the Orlando area, the Winter Garden area, Apopka, and so forth. The 1,700 homes sold. Out of those 1,700 that sold within the last 30 days, 500 of them went to the first-time home buyer market. That's 30%. And that we actually pulled the numbers anywhere from 180,000 to 300,000. So, only 30% of those buyers were able to obtain homes, And I always say you got to be savvy, right? You got to have a savvy realtor. You have to have a plan in place in order to make it happen. And I think our areas become so attractive that, we are kind of like where everyone else is in the nation, short on inventory, and people want to buy. So there's a product, you have a house that you want to sell, you have something that's hot, and buyers are wanting it. But this area is in demand. But, I think there's still some great opportunities out here.
For sure. Now, quick shout out, and I don't know if I'm hearing myself on your computer, but I hear a little bit of feedback. Caroline Ramos,
Mm-hmm.
say hello from Kissimmee.
Yeah.
She's
Hey,
hanging out,
Karen.
right? So
Yeah.
much love coming out of Kissimmee. I'm assuming you're here hanging out with both of us. I appreciate it so much. My boy Zulu down here, we are working together. You're so right on a VA loan. And later on in the show, we're going to go ahead and talk a little bit about why the VA loan is actually a better loan overall for the buyer and should be accepted by the seller, because there's some protections there as well from the seller. So that's going to be a good little topic that we're going to go ahead and cover. My boy, Mr. Joey Romero, is hanging out with us today. Get it, buyers. I see what it is. At the end of the day, we all got that here. We got a little bit
That's
of hood and
good.
a little bit of hood in the heart, but we got to hustle, right? We're
Yeah.
in the grind. So you're basically letting me know, Eneida, listen, supply and demand, right?
Mhm.
There is a lack of supply everywhere, and this is also affecting Central Florida. What I find so interesting about specifically the areas, the niches that you work in,
Mhm.
is that, man, they provide such a great value for
Mhm.
that either up and coming family, the first time buyer. I mean, I think we spoke earlier and you mentioned to me that the ranges, the most active ranges in prices in Central Florida is from 180,000 to 300,000.
On
That's
the
kind
first time home buyer side, correct.
of
And looking at those numbers, yeah. So we have a big range, you know what I mean? And those are basically, if you're listing a home at that price, it's on the market. Priced right, marketed right, it's on the market like one day.
wow.
4 days. Yeah, that's too
So I know
long.
that you are incredibly strong as well when it comes to the listing side, right? Because
Mhm.
we've spoken on that as well.
Yeah.
I mean, you put a home up on a Friday. I mean, how many offers do you think you'll have by Monday?
Oh, we're right now in the teens, you know, in
Wow.
the
Okay.
teens. And I'm going to tell you, I'll be honest, especially, for those out there that are buying and working with a buyer's agent, I am looking for that realtor who cares what is going to take for them to win that offer. I like that realtor that gives me a call and says, what are your sellers looking for? What do I need to know to win this? Because you and I know sometimes it could be, hey, I need 60 days for my seller to pack up and
Yeah.
move. You know what I mean? Or they need this. So you have to come up with plays and strategies with your realtor. It's not you.
This is such a good point. I'm sorry. I think you saw the sigh and you were like, hold on, he's about to say something. That's what I listen. The point that she's making, guys, it's so, guys and gals, it's so important. And here's why. In my past life, right, which was still this life, but in my past life, I used to specialize in what Eneida specializes, which is the sale, right, and dealing with the consumer, making sure that I'm helping them on the front lines, taking them to their home, their dream of home ownership.
Mhm.
And if there's one thing that I've always tried to look for, and within the partners that we work with, like Eneida, is that those agents that you work with care, right? And they're going and doing their due diligence, but getting on that phone and saying, Eneida, listen, I'm dealing with this family that really wants to get to the next level. They want to make this happen. How can we make this a win-win? The game of real estate isn't just signing a piece of paper and pushing it in. And with all due respect to all those agents out there, I know we can all work together and all that. There's levels to this game. Okay.
Mhm.
There's agents like Eneida, agents like Zulu down here in Miami that are going to go ahead and add that oomph, that are going to show that love, that are going to call and say, hey, how can I structure this so that it's a win-win, right? Does that seller need those 60 days? Is that seller maybe selling their home, right? Well, they're selling their home to you, but are they also in the process of buying one?
Right.
Can the timelines work for them? Or as a buyer, and I think Anita can probably dig deeper into this. As a buyer, I think there's over 20 different variables that can be negotiated in a contract, from
Absolutely.
escrow, timelines, inspection, appraisal, financial contingencies, all of these variables. And that's why having the right individual like Anita working for you is key. So tell me a little bit more about that. Negotiating terms. What do you think are the hottest negotiating terms right now when someone is submitting an offer?
Well, I believe that the price that the house is listing for is the starting price. It's not the price it's going to sell at. It's the starting
That's
price.
how
And
hot
that's,
it is.
yeah, and that's something you have to ask seller. I mean, to explain to your buyers, because buyers are coming in still thinking like, oh, I'm going to offer 10,000, less, or 5,000 less. Then we're not playing the game. We're out before we even wrote the offer. You know what I mean? And that's something to say. So also, of course, do you need closing costs? Well, if you need closing costs, then we need to make this super attractive. Because we might have 10 other offers that are not asking for that. We might have cash buyers that are coming in low, and stuff like that. People are moving dates are also very negotiable these days. People want to know, can I, on the seller side, once again, they are negotiating when can they move out, closing costs. We're negotiating on that. And believe it or not, we're still seeing negotiations on roofs, on ACs. Sometimes I tell my buyers, if you don't need that, maybe think what's more important to you. Can you get that closing cost? Is it more important for you to get that negotiation on that roof, and make it attractive? How can it make the seller win? I always say, let's make the seller think he's winning.
Yeah.
And when you sign, you'll see who's the winner. You know what I mean? So it's okay. Let's be humble and make them feel like the winners. I always like to add different things. Like example on the I'm giving my secrets, but I always say it's good if we add on stuff and then they take stuff off because they like to take stuff off.
It's part of the negotiation.
Right. But it just depends on what kind of competition you're going in for, and that's why it's so important. You and I were talking about this before, that you need a plan, right? Before you go play a game, there's Super Bowl people, they're always looking at different kind of plays, and they're practicing and stuff like that. Well, your realtor and the buyer should be kind of creating a strategy. Not a week before you're going to go look at houses. This should be done with the lender, like you and I do. Sometimes I call Freddie before, hey, I know this is a hot house right now. There's like 3 offers on it. Is this a good house for my client? Though we are still in the purchase price, but what about taxes? What about HOAs? You know what I mean? Like that might play different. I might be wasting my time, wasting their time, and so that's also important, having a strategy within the team that's working for the buyer and with including the buyer. Like what is going to be our strategy? So you should be reaching out, not a week before you start looking for a home, but possibly months before to get you in your plays in line.
That's excellent. That's a good point. And it's actually the perfect segue, because one of the things I wanted to cover was what is that strategy that someone can put into place that's looking at this video right now. At the end of the day, taxes were just started being submitted 6 days ago, right? So just to interject in that, anyone watching this, and this is this part here that we're going to really start pouring out some value for those people that may be sitting at home. Do us a quick favor, share the video, because this is eventually going to touch someone that wants to go ahead and see what they need to do to accomplish their dream of home ownership. And the next couple of points that myself and Eneida are going to cover are truly golden nuggets for them. So number one, when it comes to this, is giving yourself enough time to develop the game plan, right? So as on the finance side of things, I sit down and I look at someone, they approach and they say, Freddie, this is what I want to accomplish. What does it look like, right? Well, in that certain situation, they may be at a certain score, right? Or they may have specific debt that they need to go ahead and take care of. But if they show up with just a contract, which doesn't happen with Eneida's clients because she lines them up correctly, right? But if she shows up with a contract and says, I need to close in 30 days, I never got the shot to best position them. Can I get them the financing? If anyone can get it done, trust that I know that my team can get it done. But the thing is, did I have the opportunity to coach the client to say, hey, what is your goal? Where do you want to be 3 years from now? If you want to be there, then let's make these steps. Let's take these steps now to best position you, to get you the best possible terms, to then have the best money coming back into your pocket every month. So maybe you can invest or set up for retirement. All these conversations that are better for us to have them now than say, man, I wish that my team at one point would have advised me on this. And that's what makes people like Eneida and myself a little bit different when it comes to that piece. All right. So in your market, Eneida, right now, what would you say are the hottest 3 spots. I know we talked about price range.
Mhm.
That first time home buyer that's looking out there that's saying, I want to buy something at 250. We can get pre-qualified and all that stuff, but where should I be looking at? I don't think I'm looking in downtown Orlando. So what nice little areas around there provide good value?
So, like price points are super important. I work very heavily in the West Orange area, which you probably heard, Winter Garden area, the Claremont area, kind of going now into Polk County, Davenport area. But, a lot of people, I remember when I was starting real estate, it was Claremont. You couldn't afford Winter Garden, but now we're going past Claremont now. People used to be Davenport. So much building going on in Davenport that we're pushing past Davenport now. So the three areas that I lined up, and I kind of giving you price points in the Lake County side, which is Claremont is the main city, right? And Claremont is probably like within 35, 40 minutes away from Orlando. Like even I think it's 40 minutes to the airport. But we have the city of Leesburg, okay, which the average price point in Leesburg is $228,000. And Turnpike, there's a Turnpike exit right there. So you're probably like within 40 minutes into the Orlando area. We also have what's Mascot in Lake County, which the average price point there was 212. And in Winter Haven, which is Polk County, which is kind of borders near Davenport area, we're looking at Winter Haven is actually where Legoland is. So I'm pretty sure people recognize that, right? It's in there. The average price point was 215 in the month of January. So you and I were talking about this, right? Let's just to talk about Winter Haven. Winter Haven just announced in December that, not Winter Haven, Legoland, that they're expanding their park by 5 acres. Okay, that's going to be creating jobs. We have so many developments going on around there. It's just the perfect formula for growth, right? And homes going up, right? So why not get into it now? You and I were talking about, like, tell me about the hottest areas. My goodness, you want to live in Orlando, the average price point in Orlando, we're looking at high threes, exactly, to get a home. But if you're willing to travel 45 minutes from Orlando, right? Especially in today's world. One thing when I was buying my house, my husband kind of opened my mind up when he said, I could always change my job. He goes, but I want to have my home in a place that I want to go home to every time. But in today's world, it's even better. People are working remotely today.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So I think when it comes to affordability, we need to open our mind, step out of the box. And I always tell my clients are like, well, homes are so expensive. They're expensive where you're living right now. But if we're willing to drive a few minutes, half an hour down the highway, I can get you in a home that you better shape, much better condition, a nice area, and probably the price points that you're gonna be happy with.
Oh yeah, 100%. Oh, and by the way, you know what's more expensive? Making absolutely no return on a rental, living in a rental and paying someone else's mortgage. Okay.
Exactly.
So one thing that you pointed on, and this may take us now to a little bit more of an emotional part of the show, and this is one of the, I think when we spoke about this, I'm trying to preface it correctly. When we spoke about this part of it, it's kind of what moved me the most about today's show, which was how passionately you spoke about what we're going to touch on right now. But the segue to this portion is that the way you've communicated with those clients, the clients we've worked together, has always been a situation of wealth building, which has been about saying, let's prepare ourselves so that you're in a better position 3 years from now. So yesterday when we spoke about, hey, the show tomorrow, this is some of the stuff that we're going to cover. You said, Freddie, I want to go ahead and cover something for a special niche of people that are going through maybe a great time in life, maybe a tough time in life, but regardless is that they're still going through a journey. And that the cards may have been dealt a little bit differently, but that is actually single moms. And I like calling this little section here, Single Moms You Can, because I want single moms that may be watching this now or watching it in the future to know that you can accomplish home ownership. Within your own identity, you can make it happen. You just need to have the right mentor, the right leaders that are going to go ahead and just make sure that you're making it happen, because home ownership doesn't have a preference. Okay. Home ownership is something you obtain. So tell me a little bit about why that moves you. because when we spoke about it yesterday, we spoke about it today. You were extremely passionate about it. So let's talk a little bit about that.
Well, for many years I was a single mom. I had, as a matter of fact, when I moved into Florida, it was just my son, who was 4 at that time, and myself. And I know the struggles. Even I've been in opportunities to help other single moms because of where I was back then. And I know one of the biggest wants that a single mom has is to be able to supply for her child. And I think it also does something to you motivationally and mentally, because if you're in a place that you can't supply the basic needs to your own child, it does something to you. But imagine when you can supply the basic needs. And then you go further and you meet someone that presents to you the opportunity of being a homeowner. And to this now, today's my world today, when I talk to a mom, and just to talk like, hey, and they're renting and they're telling me the struggles that I can understand. And when I throw in, have you thought about purchasing a home? It's like, they look at me like, Eneida, I'm telling you my struggles today, but let's talk about it, and it is being done. Last year, I think it was 2020, where I had the most privilege of working with most single moms that I've worked with. And it is, this is why I became so passionate this year, like the whole empowering women. We're not just empowering a single mom. We're having her empower her family and her future generations. You know what I mean? And the shift that it does to a family dynamic, I think it's amazing. And it's something that should be touched more upon. We should be educating more women on this. So they can see what are the advantages that they have of becoming a homeowner. What is the help that we have out there for single moms, and mentorships like you, myself, to walk them through this process.
For sure. Again, incredibly moving because that is a group of people, honestly, that are only pouring love back into their family, and they deserve that. So as a matter of fact, we spoke about this, and one thing that I want to do for any single ladies out there, single moms that are going through their journey, and they're trying to acquire their home. At the end of the show, as a matter of fact, I'll put it up right now. This is actually Eneida's phone number, okay? And all I ask is that you send Eneida just a quick text message, quick hi, right? Just maybe hi in your name. Those of you that are going to reach out to her for the next, let's say, 45 days, if you start that journey with Eneida and just have a conversation, maybe just break down your situation, and we start talking about how we can make that happen, I'm going to make sure that the Freddie Bias team covers the cost of an appraisal in an appraisal rush via credit towards that, as long as we're all working together. My goal, and Eneida's goal through this, is to reduce your cost out of pocket for you to go ahead and take that. But I do want you to be encouraged to know that the people that you're going to choose to work with have an understanding of how you're going through your journey, right? Mm-hmm. And that every journey is different. And Eneida has shown time and time again to always be able to position her clients and the people that have trusted her for their unique experience. So we're going to be doing the same for you. And we're going to go ahead and share some information after this video is over so that we can get that done. So high five to you ladies out there. I want to encourage you to send that text message. I'll keep the number there as well. So Eneida, we're going to cover now a little story that you mentioned to me about an offer that you're working with right now that is a VA buyer. Tell me a little bit about that. What has been your side of it? What have you seen?
Well, it's, once again, we're being outbidded because the listing agents are not, I'm saying they're not educated enough, or the fear of the VA loan, the fear of the, people of them thinking it's not going to appraise. And people thinking we're going to go conventional. I've even had some VA buyer, that VA buyer thinking of switching over into a conventional just to kind of be competitive when we come to offers. And in talking to you, learning kind of the benefits that no, the VA is better for the consumer, you know what I mean? And it actually has more potential when it comes into the appraisal. So, that was something that I learned from you and kind of opened my mind up to it.
So for you guys that are looking at the VA product and that are wanting to know a little bit more about it, I'm going to give you guys three benefits that you have with just the VA loan product. And apart from that, I'm going to encourage those agents that are out there to make sure that when you're working with your lender, you're encouraging your lender to reach out to the listing agent to inform them of the strength of the actual offer. Because I think, or at least I feel that our veterans, which have sacrificed so much,
Mhm.
are getting the short end of the stick when the product that they're getting is actually a product that protects them and protects the seller on some stuff. So for you guys out there that are interested in the VA loan product, so one of the main things is that the terms that are there when it comes to being able to finance at 100% financing. Now, the loan limits on VA loans go up to $1 million. They don't have that conforming loan limit that we have per county. Goes up to 1 million. When it comes to the rate, they're very, very friendly rates. But for that selling agent, one good point to always make when we speak to them, for example, is did you know that the appraiser actually gets scored on how well he did his comparables to the property? So there's a small joke in our community, in the lending community, that says you can send three different appraisers to the house the same day and you'll get three different values, right?
Mhm.
Unconventional, known, yeah. Now, if it were to be an appraiser that's doing VA, in my opinion, I mean, I don't know if I can get in trouble by saying it, but in my opinion, I think that they try a little bit harder because there's a scorecard attached to their performance on there. Now, if they were to come and give a value that is lower, then there's something called tide water that can be provoked by the appraiser, meaning that there's going to be a second set of eyes to go ahead and make sure that he's shorting that value and that it's justified to short that value. In the conventional world and in the FHA world, what happens is an appraiser goes out there, right? The value comes back over to the lender, and then it's like, oh well, hey guys, good luck. Send me rebuttals, Eneida, if you can. If not, good luck. That house is not going to be
Yeah.
worth that. If it's
Right.
FHA, it gets a case number. And then that value comes back and says, oh, by the way, it's also attached to the property on FHA loans for 6 months,
For 6 months.
right? So
Yeah.
um, the VA product is actually a product that is actually very friendly. And when it comes to the consumer that's normally purchasing the via a VA loan, statistically, they have shown to have higher average credit scores, have more reserves in the bank, have a higher level of financial discipline, right? Whenever Anita and myself work on a VA loan, for example, or if I ever am in that scenario, I'm normally calling the listing agent and saying, hey, by the way, I want you to understand one thing, first of all. This individual is a veteran, right? Let's keep that in mind. Number two, the terms that they're getting are very, very friendly to them. But number three, they're also in a situation that they have a very, very strong profile. So I understand that that conventional offer that you have may look a certain way, but they're just taking advantage of their loan product. Doesn't mean that if they were to go conventional, that their offer may not show more escrow or may not go ahead and have different terms that may look more common to the listing agent. The reality is that conventional loans are the most used loan products. Hence, most agents have more experience with those structures and don't understand VA loans so much.
And I
So,
think you mentioned something. One of the biggest difference right there is that you reach out before it goes under contract. You know, you're reaching out like drawing the offer, and the listing agents like that because a lot of people when they go with VA, they're using like these big banks name, you know, VA or structured just VA banks, and they never speak to the listing agent, or you never, it's like a hidden figure behind the transaction. And when you put, you know, when you're able to become personalized and human, right, with the listing agent, now you're building a rapport, and then they know that we're all on the same team trying to make this happen and honor the VA and get them through, you know, to
100%.
ownership. Yeah.
100%. That veteran had a team that was protecting our interest, and now we're a team that's going to protect their interest. And at the end of the day,
Absolutely.
the listing agent, their fiduciary, is also to protect the seller. So it comes together as a team at the end of the day to help accomplish two different families that may be going on to the next chapters of their life. But the interest of everyone in there is to make sure that everyone wins in one way or another. This isn't a win-lose situation. This is a win-win
Yeah.
situation. So with that being said, guys, Eneida can be reached via email, Eneida Cortes group at gmail.com, right? And for those single moms out there that heard earlier, I'll repeat it. Please, please, please reach out. Only a text message or an email to Eneida. We don't got to talk all about it today. Just say, hey, I thought about it and I pressed that button and I pressed send. And it will call you back. We'll set something up. We'll have a conversation of how we can get you there to the next stage now, or how you can have a game plan. Because if you don't have a game plan, guess what? Is never going to come to fruition. The Freddie Bias team will stick to their promise to you that they will go ahead and provide you a credit to cover the appraisal, and will also cover the rush fee to make sure that you're also first in line, as it should be, to go ahead and acquire that value.
And you know what, Freddie? You could throw in there that I'll give them $500 towards closing for them to save on more closing costs. So
Boom.
we
Look
got
at
to
that.
go
That's over $1,000 in savings.
right
And all it
there.
takes is to just say, hey, I have a question. If you have a question, send that over, and we're gonna go ahead and make it happen for you. At the end of the day, Eneida, I'll let you get in the last words before I go ahead and close. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think to everyone out there, it's always a process. Everything's always a process. To lose weight, to buy a car, to get a new job, it's a process. Even buying a home is a process. And some people say, I was turned down. I don't think it's, and Freddie, maybe you can say this, it's never a no. It's a not now.
That's it.
You know what I mean? So guys, you can't lose on that.
100%. Clarity is power. So we'll make it happen. Eneida, thank you so much for hanging out with me tonight.
Thank
I know
you
we'll
so
be in
much.
touch. We'll keep
Yep.
making it happen for those home buyers. And for you guys that tuned in today, please make sure to share, like, comment, drop a comment, even if it's later on. We're going to follow those comments and go ahead and address them with time. Thank you so much for hanging out tonight. Eneida, you have a good one.